industry, man, it's not the same. The industry, man, it's not the same. Doesn't have to do with talent. It's about playing the game. The industry, real niggas is dying to get in. The industry, just to find they don't fit in. The industry ain't what it used to be. The industry's trying to control the way you MC. They want you to dress like this and talk like that. But I'm going to dress like this and talk with the bat. The industry got your word meaning nothing. The industry, fuck what you heard because he's bluffing. The industry, money, bitches, hate, but I dare you to try to take a fucking thing off my plate. The industry like, wait, but in the streets we like, get 'em. 17 up in that thing, catch 'em sleeping and hit 'em. The industry, if you ain't got a strong mind, the industry will break you down, it's a matter of time. The industry, vultures with nothing to feast on. See me, I'm getting my beast on. The industry, stay in the dirt, play in the dirt, test the wrong one in the industry and you will get hurt. I'm not an industry artist, I'm an artist in the industry. So I do what the fuck I want because nobody can finish me. The industry, wanted, dead or alive, new artists to sell their souls in the way they survive. The industry don't give a fuck about you, but the industry couldn't make a dime without you. The industry, I'm sick of this industry shit. The industry playing them like a industry bitch. They tried to finish me quick, but I am long, so I stand strong. Fuck a beat. Listen to the words in the damn song.
I've been having these thoughts, and we're just waiting in line to wake up.
Everything that you hoped for, what you dreamed about being a part of, is a fabrication. Your art. Your culture is the shell of other men's ambitions. Ambitions beyond what you will ever understand.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Go Back to Sleep. And before we get to the introduction of my co-host, let me go ahead and share what the random read of the day is. Let me go here real quick to the fiery glory of God. So today's random read comes from the book of Isaiah, chapter 28, verses 5 through 13, a crown of glory. Man, this was a great pick. This definitely was a great pick. In that day shall the Lord of hosts be for a crown of glory, and for a diadem of beauty, unto the residue of his people. and for a spirit of judgment to him that sitteth in judgment, and for strength to them that turn the battle to the gate. But they also have erred through wine, and through strong drink are out of the way. The priest and the prophet have erred through strong drink. They are swallowed up of wine. They are out of the way through strong drink. They err in vision. They stumble in judgment. For all tables are full of vomit and filthiness, so that there is no place clean. Whom shall he teach knowledge? And whom shall he make to understand doctrine? Them that are weaned from the milk and drawn from the breasts. From precept must be upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, here a little and there a little. From the stammering lips to another tongue will he speak to his people, to whom he said, This is the rest wherewith ye may cause the weary to rest, and this is the refreshing. Yet they would not hear. But the word of the Lord was unto them precept upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, here a little and there a little, and they might go and fall backward and be broken and snared and taken. Once again, this random read comes from the book of Isaiah, chapter 28, verses 5 through 13, entitled A Crown of Glory. So, I wanted to touch on this a little bit because this is interesting. I believe the last time I was doing fellowshipping on this channel, I was talking about how there are so many, if I can recall, because it's been almost a week. I was talking about a lot of pastors who mislead a lot of people, who give sermons that make people that attract people that want to hear what they want to hear, as opposed to telling them the things they must hear in order for them to have a better relationship with Christ and also to live as a better Christian, I guess you can say. This was a very interesting pick. I mean, it says here that at least in chapter, or I'm sorry, not chapter, but verse 9, and whom shall he make to understand doctrine? That, to me, is saying that people who are Bible-based, people who look at things where it's not, quote, prosperity gospel, they're able to understand what Scripture is telling them. And they are able to, in turn, to dish that out to people who are willing to hear what needs to be heard as opposed to what they want to hear. Because let's face it, sometimes hearing something that is true, it's not necessarily something that you want to hear. Sometimes it's something that you don't even want to hear at all, but it needs to be said. And it also says here that it continues on saying, them that are weaned from the milk and are drawn from the breast, which means, you know, you're softly letting go of these soft things that make you feel good, and getting into more meaty stuff that need to be heard in order for you to walk a better path. That's how I kind of interpret it. I don't know if I'm making any sense here, but that's kind of how I see it. And then it continues saying from verse 10, from precept must be upon precept. Precept, and it repeats itself because it's important to validate the word with the word, right? You can't validate the word with man. You have to validate the word with the word. So it says here, and it repeats, from precept must be upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, again, line upon line, here a little and there a little. because you don't want to have to inundate yourself with all these things all at the same time. If you need to take little steps in order for you to understand, then that's probably going to be the best way to do it, as opposed to taking everything in all at the same time. I mean, that's how I kind of, that's the message that I'm getting. So yeah, it's just this is just cool how God speaks to, at least when he speaks to me through scripture, he validates a lot of the things that I do talk about. But then again, most of the things I talk about is not in my words. It's things that I'm pretty sure God's words are trying to come out through me, and I'm not saying I'm any kind of prophet or anything, but it just happens that way sometimes. So yeah, I don't know what kind of point I tried to make, but that's the point I was trying to make, is that I think that a lot of these so-called preachers or pastors that are misleading a lot of people, they're pretty much exposing themselves when they have no basis. They're not using scripture as their basis, as they should be, because without the basis of what you're preaching, which is Christ's characteristics here through the Bible, you really don't have valid words at the end of it all. So that's kind of how I interpret things that are being said in this random read. So let me go ahead and introduce my co-host, and maybe we can get some thoughts about what he thinks about the random read, at least what's being said. Let me go ahead and go here to the Zoom. Java,
What's going on?
what do you think, bro? What do you think?
Yeah, so one of the important things also is seeing if the person doing the ministering, there's a difference between following the doctrine of the Bible opposed to strictly a doctrine of a particular church. Some people get hung up in all the edicts and precepts of a specific church itself, and they run by that over the precepts from the Bible itself.
Right. I don't know.
And that's an important distinction.
I don't know if I was making sense in my explanation. Was I making sense? I don't know, because sometimes I can get kind of, the thoughts just come into me, and I sometimes my presentation of what I'm trying to present doesn't come out right. But did I make any kind of sense?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to make sure I did, because like I said, man, sometimes when I'm thinking, I try to think and talk at the same time, and it becomes very difficult for me, because I'm horrible when it comes to multitasking. And not only that, but I'm not really an articulable person. But I try to be as much as I can. But I'm glad at least you understood what I was trying to explain there. So anyhow.
Yeah, I mean, that's just what I got from it as well. Is just you're watching whether the person, like the pastor or the preacher or whatever, whether they're following the edicts of their own system, or if they're actually following the each line of the Bible itself.
Right. Well, thanks.
Sometimes through tradition, sometimes a belief system will have all these certain rules, but not really realize where the origin of those rules and came from, and they don't know why they're even doing them.
Yes, and that's exactly what happened with the Pharisees and Sadducees. They dealt with so much tradition that dude, Jesus was right in front of them. Like, he was telling him straight up, like, I'm God's son. But they still kind of overlooked it because they fell too much towards tradition. It was also part of their pride as well. They're highly educated men who had high stature. Like, the community kind of looked up to these people, but they forgot that they were there as guides to lead them to the right direction.
Because spiritual stature, when it's that entwined into a culture, can oftentimes lead towards can feed the ego even when people don't intend it to.
Yep. Absolutely.
And then they begin to, follow the book of the law, or the law of the book, even without, I mean, they're doing it just to have that status at some point, instead of, because it's the right thing to do or whatever.
I mean, it also becomes a boastful thing too, because you're looked upon as somebody who has all this knowledge.
Exactly.
And at the same time, you're forgetting the reason why you're doing it is because you're supposed to be praising God as opposed to praising yourself, or being sought as sought up as somebody who is of a high stature. It should be a more of a meek kind of thing, as opposed to, hey, look at me. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I got from that, about, because there's a lot of pastors out there, man, who just blatantly talk about things. And man, I remember this one pastor said, "Oh, it's okay to feel horny about your coworker," and I'm like, dude, you're crazy. How are you spreading this kind of stuff to people, man? I mean, I understand it's hard to kind of tame stuff because we're of the flesh, but you don't go around saying that it's okay to have relations with your coworker in your mind. I mean, come on, dude. That's I mean, at that point, you should just say, "Oh, yeah, it's okay to sleep with them," because that's pretty much what you're saying.
Right.
Crazy, man. It's crazy. So, anyhow, today's show, it's gonna be a very different one, and it was a very difficult thing. Part of it too is because I've been so busy that I haven't had time to do extensive research to try to dig up on this artist or this song. But the song itself, man, there was just something about the song that I felt that there must have been something spiritual going on in this song, and it had nothing to do with selling his soul or anything like that. It has nothing to do that has any satanic thing connected to it. But it's the opposite. It's to me, it seemed like the song was kind of reaching out and saying something to the effect of, even though I've done all this, you're still there for me. You know, I guess you can say, like, he was trying to, he's showing how humble he is, and how weak he is, and how vulnerable he is, and he's still being covered. But is he talking about the God that I want him to be talking about? I don't know. That's the thing. But I don't know. I just think that it's a really good song, though. You know, it's totally different from the things that we've been touching on, for sure.
Yeah. It's not. This one's not about trying to be in the upper echelon of the club, like Madonna and all those.
Which is,
although you said that this Madonna did help these people get into.
yeah, she helped not boost their career, but she helped their career break through. But I don't think it was something really major, because this band, they when they first came out, yeah, they were pretty good. They had a different sound to it, especially in the genre and the location that they were in at the time. They didn't have the same sound. They're a grunge band. Well, they could be considered a grunge band because their band is based out of Seattle.
Out of Seattle.
Yeah. But
in the 90s, so it's kind of like, if there's anyone that's going to qualify as grunge, it would be them.
Right. But their career, it wasn't big. When they first came out, yeah, it was big because they had a few good hits in the beginning. But other than that, like towards like later on in their career, they weren't huge. They didn't become like, I don't know, like Rage Against the Machines or Nirvana, or they didn't become that big like that, if that makes any sense. At least what I was observed when I used to listen to that kind of music back in the 90s. But man, go ahead.
And then there was a big break. There was like a 6 or 7 year break in their career.
But they still weren't able to get to the same point that they were when they were in the beginning.
Right.
Their biggest time was in just that first album. After that, it just kind of, was just one of those things that It just didn't.
And it's interesting that you chose this band because they're about to go on tour.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's gonna be their last hurrah kind of tour.
Oh, wow. I did bump into some articles about them ending touring, but I didn't realize that it was going to be their very last one. Interesting. Interesting. The guy had,
People always say that, and then they go back on tour a couple of years later.
yeah, like Motley Crue.
Yeah.
The very, very, very last tour. The guy has an amazing voice, man. But that song, that is just something about that song. There are a few songs in that particular album that were very good, but that song to me, when I was going through some stuff in the 90s, man, that song was a big part of my life. And I think looking at it now, and I'm really hoping that he's talking about the high almighty God. I really do hope so, but the truth is I really don't know. And it was hard to find something to kind of connect that to it, but nonetheless, it's a good song. I think it's a good song, especially in the times that we're in right now. I really think the song can be relatable to a lot of people. So, today is it's going to be a very different show. I don't even think we're going to take up the whole 2 hours, to be honest, because it's just there was not much to find about this band at all, but the song is great, man. It's great. Anyhow.
All right, so everyone, the band that we are doing today, Candlebox.
Yep, the band we're doing is Candlebox. Oh, before let me just say hi to people up in the chats here. Kiss, thank you for being here. Good evening to you on the Foxhole side. And I apologize. I thought I posted this thing. I thought I posted my my show correctly. Obviously, I didn't. Part of it is because I was exhausted. I had posted it like right after I got off work this morning, and I had a long night. I had to do a prom, and I went directly to work. Then I came home and I just posted because I didn't want to forget to post. So I apologize for the title being wrong there, saying that it's a DJ set on the Foxhole side. But hello to Marcy T on the YouTube side, and Spiritual Logic, aka Hulk. Thank you for being here, brother. Thank you. So yeah, let's go ahead and start this, man. Even the about of the group is pretty short. So yeah, I really don't think that we're gonna be here for the full 2 hours at all. I don't think so. But nonetheless, let's go ahead and share this here. Let me share.
Now, are there two guys in here? Are they brothers?
No, I don't think they're brothers. I think they're friends.
Because there's two people with the last name Martin.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. I think they're friends, but maybe they did maybe there was a switch during from the time they started to now. I don't know. Oh wait, hold on. No, it says I kind of read
no relation.
Yeah. All right, so I'll go ahead and start off the bio. This came from, of course, allmusic.com. Bios by Steve Huey. Article reads, Seattle's Candlebox emerged just as the early 90s grunge scene was winding down. The band's take on the genre diluted the punk and indie element. Yeah, I can hear some indie in there. Indie elements inherent in its original form, and was more rooted in the bluesy, classic style hard rock that grunge had ostensibly replaced. You can kind of hear some blues in his voice too, which is very interesting. They found mainstream success in 1993 with the release of their eponymous debut album, which was certified quadruple. See what I mean? They made it like they hit it big when they first came out. Quadruple platinum, and including the hit singles "You" and "Far Behind." Those two songs are great, but the song we're doing today is not one of those two. The band issued 2 more records before ceasing operations in 2000, but reformed 6 years later. Since then, Candlebox has remained both active and prolific, releasing well-received efforts like Into the Sun. Man, that's interesting. Which was in 2008. Disappearing in Airports. What? Interesting. 2016, and Wolves 2021. That show how the more challenging aspects of grunge can be ironed out and polished into a sound that mainstream rock radio can embrace without reservation. Candlebox were formed in Seattle in December 1991 by singer/guitarist Kevin Martin, a native of Elgin, Illinois, who'd grown up partly in San Antonio. Hey, look at that, a Texan. And drummer Scott Mercado. Initially calling the band Uncle Duke, they added lead guitarist Peter Klett and bassist Barty Martin, no relation to Kevin, and changed the group's name to Candlebox after a line in a Midnight Oil song. Their demo tape found its way, here we go, to Madonna's Maverick label, which quickly resulted in a record deal in 1992. Candlebox's self-titled debut was released in 1993, and while the first single, Change, began to build them a following, it wasn't until 1994, when the following You appeared, that Candlebox really started to take off. I like that song. You gave them a breakthrough hit on mainstream rock radio, which set the stage for the success of Far Behind, another great song, essentially a power ballad for the grunge era. Far Behind was a major hit on both mainstream and alternative radio, and also made the top 20. Its exposure helped Candlebox climb into the top 10 on the LP chart and eventually sell over 3 million copies.
By the time Candlebox returned with their second album, 1995's Lucy, the crazy cover there,
it's interesting.
the backlash was already in full swing. Partly because of the group's previous momentum, the lead single, Simple Lessons, earned some rock radio airplay, and the album itself went gold. That's pretty good. Barely missed the top 10. However, it was largely ignored or dismissed by much of the mainstream media and was ultimately hurt by a relative lack of memorable songs.
Usually
In
happens.
97, founding member Mercado left the band and was replaced by original Pearl Jam drummer Dave Crewson. Candlebox's third album, Happy Pills, appeared in 1998 and marked a return to the more basic sounds of their debut. It's All Right, 10,000 Horses, and the title cut all landed some airplay, but the album sold poorly. By this time, countless bands were working on a similar style, and Candlebox's early momentum had long since dissipated. Crewson departed in 99, as did Barty Martin. They were replaced by Shannon Larkin from Ugly Kid Joe and Rob Reddick, respectively. But the group disbanded the following year. The original lineup of Mark, Klett, and Mercado reformed for a handful of shows in 2006 to support the release of Rhino's Best of Candlebox compilation. The overall positive reunion stirred rumors of a new studio album, culminating in 2008's Into the Sun. 2012, the band inked a deal with Audi Next Fontana, which released their fifth studio album, Love Stories and Other Musings. 2015, Peter Klett and Scott Mercado announced they were leaving Candlebox to devote more time to their other project, Lotus Crush. A few months later, Kevin Martin and Dave Crewson unveiled a new edition of the band featuring new guitarist Mike Leslie and Brian Quinn and bassist Adam Curry. Disappearing in Airports, the band's first outing for Pavement Music, was released the following year. In 2018, the original lineup reconvened for a pair of shows celebrating the 25th anniversary of their debut album. And in 2021, the band unveiled their 7th full-length effort, Wolves.
That's it. That's short, dude.
That is a short one.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think they, for sure, they didn't conform to, what it takes to get to the next level. That's a for sure. I mean, there's subtleties there. You see this album called Lucy, right? And it has a very odd cover album. Very, very odd. But I think overall, I don't think they conformed to the standards of getting skyrocketed. And I think it's pretty clear. I mean, it's pretty clear. If the band is disbanding like that, where people are going in different directions, I honestly think that maybe there were some, maybe they just didn't want to, or I don't know.
Well, and you notice that also it wasn't like one person in the band skyrocketed while everyone else didn't.
That is true. That is true.
You can see evidence that they probably did not take the deal. Although the interesting part for me is the very first album that was on Madonna's label was the one that hit the hardest.
But that's usually a test run, isn't it? When they first come out, is usually a test run to see if they're able to draw a crowd. If they're able to get a following, if they have that charisma, and if they do have that charisma, then I think that's how they go to the next step to try to persuade the artist to do things. And I really don't think that the band had that much. Not to say that they're a lousy band, because I think they're a great band. But I don't think that they had the charisma to pull a huge following, if that makes any sense.
Right. I mean, they weren't Nirvana.
No, they definitely weren't. They weren't Nirvana. They weren't Pearl Jam. They weren't Alice in Chains. And those are also great bands. They weren't Soundgarden. And those bands they're able, even till now, they still are able, even with the dudes who are dead in three of those bands, they're still able to draw crowds, man, which is very, it's very weird. But yeah, man, Candlebox is a pretty good, I mean, in my opinion, people may think otherwise, but I think they're a really good band. I think they're very underrated for how they sound. They're very underrated. The singer I think he has a great voice. That's just me.
And he did go on to sing with two other bands. I think he still does.
You talk about Kevin Martin?
Yeah.
Huh.
But I looked up all those bands and none of those did anything weird either.
Smaller bands probably, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they didn't pass the litmus test of being charismatic enough to draw huge crowds. I think you have to be drawn to, like, for if you like this band, you probably are not into a lot of whole mainstream bands, is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
Yeah. I did find maybe an article explaining the song Far Behind, and it kind of also threw in a little bit of the song that we're going to be covering, which is called Cover Me. This is more of a critique about the songwriting aspect of it. I didn't see anything here that were like rung an alarm saying, "Oh, gotcha." It's none of those gotcha moments of, "Oh yeah, you're part of this thing." I just think that the songwriting in what he writes is good. I think he writes more in a way where he's explaining his personal experiences, as opposed to how we've kind of noticed that a lot of these these artists have songs that are written with a more deeper, inspired spirit within.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that he writes songs just solely on his experiences in his life, which I think a lot of us have interesting stories, but he's able to put it down in music pretty good. So, as a filler, we're just gonna put this article here, because it's a great song too. Far Behind that's probably the song that kind of skyrocketed their career in the beginning. Man, Far Behind, You, and Cover Me in that album, those 3 songs right there, man. Those are the only 3 songs that I like in that album. And I should listen to the rest of the album because there's probably other songs there that are good. But those 3 in particular, back in the 90s when they first came out, those are the 3 songs that I always played on cassette. I had them on cassette. So yeah, let's go here with this article. This one was written by Macy Bennett. It says 3 years ago. I don't know if it's legit 3 years ago, but hey, we'll go with it. When Candlebox hit the ground running with their self-titled record in 1993, grunge lovers everywhere were singing the crashing chorus in their hit Far Behind. But the Now Maybe line, the chorus was not what it was intended to be in the original version written by vocalist Kevin Martin. When recording the song, Candlebox knew they had something massive on their hands. But at the time, they were banking on You being the lead single for the record, which only climbed to number 78 on Billboard charts. But Far Behind would end up becoming the most popular song of Candlebox's career to date, spending 23 weeks on Billboard charts, peaking at number 18 on the Hot 100 in 1994. Yeah, that's what I said, man. It's Far Behind that got them all famous. It wasn't You. You is a good song, but Far Behind, I think, because of the era, with the whole alternative rock / grunge era, there was a lot of rebellious, what's the best way to describe this? There's a lot of rebellion, right? With anti-pop culture and
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. There's a lot of that going on, and man, those are the Gen Xers times, man.
That's when the whole same era that all the alternative music came out.
Yeah, yeah. It was a very anti-pop culture. That was what you called a true anti-pop culture back then. It was.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with how it's portrayed now as quote anti-pop culture. It's not the same. It's more like Satanism and not Satanism now.
Right. Who would have known that Satan would have gone pop?
Well, hey, man,
I mean,
that's where we're at now.
where we're at.
Yep.
All right. Far Behind, now often taken at first listening as a lost love song, looked back on with regret, is actually about a dear friend of Martin's, Andy Wood, singer of the Seattle band Malfunction and Mother Love Bone. Martin and Wood had been friends for many years, but when Wood began using heroin, which happens to a lot of musicians,
Yep.
their friendship took a turn for the worst. Martin would go on to neglect their friendship and say things he would regret and push Wood away, which is where the chorus in Far Behind would get its context. Martin never initially told anyone the song was about Wood, and no one would know the difference since he changed the lyrics, but last minute during the recording session. And with only 12 hours to record in the studio, the new lyrics stuck. Stuck? Stuck? Is that a word?
Where?
The end of the paragraph. Stuck.
Says studio, in the studio.
Then yeah, but it says with only 12 hours to record in the studio, the new lyrics stuck. That's not a word. It should have said stuck.
Probably misspelled it. Freaking editor.
Stuck.
Oh, yeah,
That's
I
a
see
new
it.
one.
Yeah, I'm like, what? Oh, I know what they're trying to say. I know.
Stuck. The new
Yeah.
lyric stuck.
Yeah. He's trying to create his own past tense of stuck.
Well, they failed. Fail. I didn't want to be that obvious and change the lyrics to now maybe so it could be interpreted in any way, Martin told American Songwriter.
The vagueness in lyricism is an approach Martin also took on other hits from the record, like this song right here, Cover Me, which was about a discussion on religion between here. This is why I chose this article, which was about a discussion on religion between him and his bandmate. But I don't think it's with his bandmate, to be honest. The way that it's written doesn't sound like he's talking to somebody, because you wouldn't look at your bandmate above you, would you? I don't think you'd look at your
Right.
bandmate above. I mean, if you're literally speaking that your bandmate's taller than you, then I can understand that. But I don't think that he's talking to his bandmate, because he's talking about somebody who's above him in the lyrics. Well, we'll do the lyrical breakdown after we read this article and another one that I possibly picked. But when he's doing the description of when he's singing this song, there's a part in the song where he's saying where he's explaining that somebody's he's below somebody and somebody's above him, if that makes any sense. There's a part in the song that describes something to that effect. So I really don't think he's talking about his bandmate. So anyhow, I just wanted to say that. Through the lyrics, though the lyrics never clearly alluded to such an idea, and with Far Behind, though the sudden lyric change was said to have been spontaneous, the style of broad lyric writing would ultimately become a staple in Martin's music. Initially, the lyric was, "Andy, I didn't mean to treat you bad," because the song was about the heroin addiction and how I spoke to Andy. It wasn't me. It was because of heroin.
But the song was about more than just a broken friendship. Wood passed away in 1990 from an overdose, so that too weighed on Martin's conscience and packed more onto the song's connotation. Before Wood gave his life to heroin, Martin remembers meeting Wood when he was 16 and still a drummer, long before he would front Candlebox, and looking up to him as a kind of role model in the Seattle music scene. He was such an enormous human being, Martin said in an Artist Waves interview. Everything about him was a rock star.
Wood would go on to influence Martin's life and music long after he departed this world, with his honest and invaluable words of advice. Do what you want to effing do, how you want to do it. Don't give a F what anyone thinks about it. I never forget that, Martin remembered. I have problems with that, but, I kind of get it. At that time when you're young, I totally get it. That sat with me my entire life up until today. And looking back on near 30 years since the song was written. Wow, 30 years. Oh, yeah, because that was in the 90s. Martin says it's one of those songs that you can only hope to ever write as a musician. It's a song he never tries of playing, and hundreds, if not thousands of shows later, Martin still thinks of Wood every time. It has lost no meaning, and Martin said he couldn't be happier to have had Far Behind be that song for Candlebox. That's about it. But yeah, that song exactly talks about what he described here. But the song "You," that one is of like it's in a, you could tell like it's in a internal battle with drugs with that song You. Which is it's also another good song, but I gotta say, man, the song that we're doing today, Cover Me, I want to believe that he's talking about God. I want to believe that, but we shall see. We shall see how this pans out when we talk about it. Right.
Well, he's wearing a cross right there.
Yeah,
Somebody is.
Yeah, that's the lead singer. He's actually he was in an interview and he kind of said that he was raised Roman Catholic, but he's a non-practicing Roman Catholic, just as I was years ago. When I found, I would even consider myself a non-practicing even when I was supposed to be practicing. But yeah, there's definitely some kind of some kind of base of knowing God sort of there. There's definitely some kind of belief system there that God does exist, at least when it comes to that. So let's go ahead and go here to the lyrics, because honestly, there's really nothing else that I could find when it comes to this song, or even to this group, or even to Martin himself. The only thing that I found with religious ties to it was just him admitting that he's a non-practicing Roman Catholic. He grew up as one, and that's about it. He didn't really elaborate further than that. So yeah, today's song, Cover Me by Candlebox. We're going to be doing the lyrical part of this. And honestly, even people in the chats, tell me what you think. Hey, what's going on, Axiom Descent and E-Trust out there on the YouTube side, and Dem Turn Red also as well on the Foxhole side. Thanks for coming by, guys. Please interject something, because, I really want to believe that I want to believe, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be that he's talking about God. But hey, maybe I'm interpreting this incorrectly, but that's why I have people here too, to kind of give their senses and see what they think about it. So you want to start off with the first verse, and I'll go with the second.
Sure. Yeah, this kind of does seem more than just like a discussion with another person.
Think so?
I mean, just looking at some of this right here, it just kind of seems like, yeah, like the post-chorus. But we'll get to that. and cover me, yeah, when I walk alone, and cover me when my stance it stumbles home. Cover me, yeah, we'll trip on through the sands of time. Cover me because I've been branded. That line kind of struck me out. Like, when you're branded, like a literal, on the literal term, that's like when ranchers do that to their
cattle,
to their animals.
Yeah.
So I was trying to think of like what branded him. What could it be? The record label?
I think this is more of a personal thing as opposed to talking about that. That's just the impression that I get. Because if you follow that up with what he says on the post-chorus, it connects. It definitely connects. So the post-chorus, he says, and even when you hear the song, when he sings it, it says, and cover me because I've been branded. I've lost my mind. Lost my mind. But you cover me. Won't you give me shelter from the storm? So this is where the whole thought that I think he was talking about God was because despite the struggles that he's despite what he's going through in life, he still feels like he's being protected by a higher being. That's the impression that I got. I could be wrong, I don't know, but that's just how I kind of interpreted it. And then when it follows through with the other lyrics to this, that's where slowly I said to myself, man, could he be talking about God? No.
Well, I mean, it sort of seems like at the beginning there too, because it's like, like I'm stumbling, I'm alone, been branded.
It could be branded by pain. You know what I'm saying? Because you got to understand that he lost his friend too.
Right.
So he could have been branded with sadness and pain because of the loss of his friend. Maybe that, because when you're at a loss of somebody in your life who's close to you, it feels like your heart is burnt by that feeling of being branded. If that makes any sense.
I mean, it could be another way of saying being scarred.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then it can also be talking literally about
Being
having
marked.
a brand.
Yeah, being marked.
Like you just gotten out of the new album, you're just having your own brand.
Oh yeah, that can interpret that way too. But I think I'm going based off what he's feeling, because I know the feeling of losing a lost one, because my I lost my younger brother during that time too, during the in 2000 I lost my brother, and I know that feeling of your heart feeling seared from pain and sadness to it. So I can get that, but at the same time, I didn't see the angle of what you said about branding your own brand. But I really don't think that's what he was meaning.
Yeah, it definitely just means like being scarred or something.
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Or, it could be in the sense of if it is about God, then it could be like one of the senses of, I'm one of God's children type of thing.
Yeah. And he's feeling that he's being protected despite the storm that he's going through, because he says that it says here on the last line on the post chorus, on the first chorus, won't you give me shelter from the storm? So let's keep on going here, and things will add up the more the lyrics are read. Pardon me. All right, you want to go ahead and hit that verse 2?
And it says, and over me fade into the night, and over me melt into the light. Over me you will fear the things I need, and over me you will feel the hate I breed. That's interesting.
Yeah, let's talk about this, man, because I really don't know where he's going with this. Because when he's saying "and over me," he's probably talking about he's looking at this point. This is where I meant that he's looking up. He's looking up to something, right? And I don't think it's his bandmate that he's looking up to. I think he's looking up to the higher power. That's just how I interpret it. But like I said, I could be wrong. And I'm not trying to reach. This is what I just interpret. Where he goes, and over me, fading. Maybe he's talking about him fading into the night, right? About himself fading into the night. And over me, melt into the light. Maybe he's talking about emotions while he's fading into the night and melting into the light. What do you think?
Well, the thing is he's directing that at something outside of himself.
Could it be something that he's going through within, like some kind of emotion, or I don't know.
Well, and I don't think he's talking to God when he's saying stuff like, you'll fear the things I need.
Maybe that's
an interesting line, because it's like, well, what exactly is it that you need? That's caught, that's like, why would we fear? The only reason someone would fear the things that person needs is if those things are, really dark or something.
You will fear the things I need. What does that mean?
It's like the things that he needs are so are so bad that other people will question them.
And over me.
And he's breeding hate. That's not too good.
Could he be talking about, I don't know. Could he be talking about the devil? I don't know. I really don't know. And I don't want to make this that I'm trying to reach into something. I just want to understand the song. And over me, yeah, you will fear the things I need. And over me, you will feel the hate I breed. Let's read on. Maybe it'll come together if we connect everything together. So now he's talking about you're under me. Oh. Okay. So now he's talking here in verse 3, you're under me. You will question my authority. Could he be playing the role of God, saying that you won't question my authority because you're under me? Could you?
Except that he's talking about you'll feel the pain I want to bring you, and God wouldn't do that.
You're under me and you elude almost everything. Well, if this is God saying that you're under me and you elude almost everything, which is kind of true, right? We kind of lie about our sin, like the sins that we're like, no, I don't do that, but we really do in our private life or something like that. What do you think? I don't know. I'm not trying to reach, man. I'm just trying to understand this.
Yeah, but then it says you will feel the pain I want to bring you.
You will feel the pain I want to bring you. Yeah, no, yeah, God doesn't want to bring any.
Exactly.
Or you will feel the pain I want to bring you. Okay, maybe I'm overthinking this, but I'm just trying to understand. You're under me, you will feel the pain I want to bring you. Okay, so for people, right? For people who live in sin and just want to keep living in sin, the thing the thing that pops into mind is that there's no rest for the wicked, right? Okay, so hear me out here. Maybe I could be wrong about this. There's no rest for the wicked, they say, right? So maybe it gets to the point where you're going to hell and you don't die. You do die, but it's a constant suffering that you do want to die, that you want to feel the pain that God brings you. I don't know. What do you think? Do you even get what I'm trying to explain? Like the pain is like, because my image of hell is not a place where you just slumber of death. It's a constant suffrage where you want to rest, that you want to die, but you just don't die. And you're saying that I want you to take me out because I want this thing to end. You get what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying, but I just don't think that because in that type of instance, it's the pain that the people bring onto themselves. It's not necessarily the pain that God's bringing them.
That is true. That's very true. Huh? Axiom Descent on YouTube put there. So first he says on YouTube, Axiom Descent says he is singing about confusion, rage, confusion, acceptance, and his own struggles with his being raised in a religious home and not following the path he was raised in. It is about his struggles with organized religion in the world. Yeah, because I did see something to the effect that he does have problems with organized religion. Addiction plagues the artist who asks God to help him reconcile his beliefs. That's a good way of putting it. I can definitely go with that, because I do remember reading something that he doesn't like the whole. Although he was raised a Roman Catholic, he doesn't like the whole organized religion thing. He briefly touched on it, but he didn't really get into it. But that's
Well, in that case, I mean, maybe if you take that perspective, then perhaps verse 3 is the organized religion speaking to him. Like, you'll question my authority.
Okay. Oh, that makes a lot of sense. Okay.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
That was a good point they brought up.
Thanks a lot, Axiom, man. That's awesome, man. Thank you so much. And this is what's cool about these kind of things, because, man, I tell you, I try to find things, and I did find stuff, but it wasn't to the point. It wasn't things where, like, I found stuff, but it didn't get deep into it. He just kind of he just said it kind of casually, like, yeah, although I was raised Roman Catholic, I'm not, I really have I wouldn't say he had a disdain about organized religion, but he's not a fan of it. So I can see where Axiom Descent got that from, and that makes great.
So maybe that brings to light verse 2 as well, because then it's like him speaking to the church.
Ah, okay, we're getting somewhere here. Okay.
The third one is a church speaking to him.
So okay,
that would make a lot more sense that way.
Okay, so now that we kind of understand that it could be organized religion, could he be saying that organized religion is covering him, or would they like to say that they're covering him no matter what?
Or maybe he's trying to reach past that.
Okay, this makes a lot of sense now. Now it's beginning to fall into place, because I thought personally, and I listened to the song many times, and I even read the lyrics, and I always thought that he was talking to God. But now that you bring that point up, Axiom, that's a good point, where he's talking about organized religion.
Because that makes a sense with being branded as well.
There you go.
Because once someone, for example, goes to a Catholic church for a while, like growing up and stuff,
it becomes a part of them.
Always still considered that the rest of their life, even if they go or not.
Yeah, no, that is true. It's very true.
That's a good perspective about this whole. That brings the whole thing under a different type of cohesion. If you take it as the Catholic Church, or for example.
All right, so verse 3, and then it goes into the post-chorus. Of course it connects, right? You're under me, you never change an effing thing, not a effing thing, but you cover me, because that's what organized religion does, right?
Right.
And give me shelter from the storm. And then it just continues to keep on saying that, cover me, give me shelter from the storm. Man, that's a good one, Axiom. I didn't even look at that angle at all, although the answer was there all along, and I kind of overlooked it. That's a good one. Now it does make sense. I was wrong all along, and I'll be the first to admit that. So basically, he's talking about organized religion. Okay. Cool. Well, that was an easy breakdown. At least easy for Axiom to figure that one out. Thank you. Oh, man. He says here, yes, the word branded led me to believe that interpretation. Oh, and I think also you kind of clued him in when you're talking about branding yourself, or your own brand, where now it's swayed over to the brand of the religion brand.
Right.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, let me see what else I got here, man. Nah, I don't have much on this, dude. Yeah, this is going to be a short show today. I'm not going to lie, dude. There's really nothing, but I really thought that this song was, it touched me because of the things that I was going through when I was young. And also, I want to say that even when I did lose my brother, right? This song was a big part of my life, because I would equate this to God, but now looking back years later, it's like, man, I had it all wrong, but that's good that.
Well, that's the the cool thing about good lyrics or a good song is that there's lots of ways people can get different things out of it.
Yeah. And I really don't want to say that this song tricked me, because I think I think I just misinterpreted the song. But then at the same time, there wasn't much about what he thought about religion back then. I think that article that I found was like later in the 2000s. It wasn't during this time in the 90s. So that's another thing that I was probably confused about. But it's funny how, yes, you're right about how you can interpret lyrics in certain ways about songwriting, and this is a good example of it. Even though the intent here wasn't a bad one, it was just more of him trying to explain things in his perspective, as opposed to trying to, I'm trying to put him in my box when I shouldn't be putting him in my box. He's in his own box. Yeah. So, anyhow, is there anything else that
He's in his own candle box.
Yeah. And my candle box wasn't lit. At least quadruple platinum, not even close to not even one. Anyhow, thank
Candle
you for
box likes to wax philosophic.
thank you for your input, Axiom. You're awesome, brother. Thank you so much. So I guess at this point we're gonna go with the video, and
Yep.
I hate to cut it short, but I wanted to put this song up for discussion, because I thought it had a great meaning to it. Although we did open it up to something else that totally different from what I thought, and that's a cool thing. It still had something to do with not necessarily a higher power, but something in that realm, because that's what organized religion is, right? They use higher power to run whatever religion they're doing. So,
right. And that goes back to the precepts concept that we were talking about at the beginning.
oh man, look at you bringing it back, dude. I like that. On the random read, precept to precept, man. Here I am reading the random read and not even listening to the precept to precept. But I'm glad that I had you, and I'm glad I had Axiom Descent kind of put in your thoughts there to help clear that up, man. So awesome. I like how I saw what you did there, man. It's awesome when God works that way sometimes. It really is. It really is. So yeah, for those of you on YouTube's, if you want to come over, there's really nothing special about the music video. The music video is it's a simple music video. That's all I got to say about it. But if you want to come over and just watch it, and there's no demonic things about it or satanic things. Just nothing. It's nothing like that. It is secular music, but it's not where he's praising the devil like the stuff that we've been doing lately, man. And this is probably a good break from off of that stuff that we've been doing lately, because the stuff we've been doing lately has been really taxing on the spirit, man. Yeah. It's been really taxing on the spirit. But this is a good change. It's a good left turn here. But if you want to come over, you can always come over to Twitch or Pilled or Foxhole. What I'll do is I'll shoot my tree link out there on the YouTube side of things. If you want to come, you're more than welcome just to check it out. Hold on. Oops. So I dropped my link tree there, and also I'll drop it even though there's nobody in Twitch. I'll just put it anyway. But then I'll still be live on Twitch. There's nobody. I don't think there's anybody here on Facebook. Yeah, there's nobody on Facebook and Twitter. Sorry, peeps. I don't have a show producer. I'm it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nobody there on Twitter either. So yeah, Is there anything you want to go ahead and promote before I let the people on the YouTubes go?
If you want to check out my podcast, you are welcome to. It is called 4 Minutes and 20 Seconds. And you can find it on Spotify, Apple Music, Google Podcast, Amazon Music Podcasts, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, Podbean, and Podchaser.
Highly recommended if you want to get your mind just a break from this crazy world. And it is a crazy world that we're living in. He makes really good stuff, man. He does the voice for all his characters, and I love that. And the sound effects, too. He does the sound effects.
A lot of sound effects.
Yeah. So, yeah, check him out. I don't think there's anything profane there. I think it's all good humor. It's all good humor.
Any ages can listen to it.
Yeah. Cool, brother. So to you guys on the YouTube lands, as far as I go, I will be on for fellowship tomorrow, probably later in the evening, maybe around 7 or 8 p.m. Maybe I'm going to shoot for 8 p.m. Central Time. So if you want to come by for fellowship tomorrow, you're more than welcome to. Yeah, and that's all I got for now as far as what I got planned for the next show here for fellowship. This show in particular is done we try to do this consistently every Sunday. Usually it's juicier stuff, but today today is kind of a different kind of thing. But it's a break needed for sure. For the last few ones, man, it's gotten so heavy on the spirit, man. With his picks and my picks, it's just been heavy on the spirit. So this was definitely a good break off of that.
Nice breather, because wait till you see what
oh no,
the ideas I have in store for next time.
Uh-oh. And you always bring it good, dude. You always do bring it good. So with that being said, guys, on the YouTube side of things, thank you for joining us. And I hope to catch you guys on Fellowship. If not, I'll probably catch you guys on somebody else's channel out there in the chat somewhere. So God bless you guys. And we will see you guys tomorrow, hopefully tomorrow, 8 p.m. Central Time for Fellowship. Thank you guys, and God bless.